Hey people, huge thank you for the support on the last two videos. It honestly makes my day seeing people being so kind in the comments, enjoying the video, and seeing it do so well. So if you did enjoy, I really hope this video delivers. So with that being said, we'll carry on. One thing that really interests me is the archetype. An archetype is a recurrent symbol or motif in literature, art, or mythology. A really common one is the hero, so that's Achilles, Link, Mario, Luke Skywalker, but there are also symbols, so transformation, resurrection, or rebirth, which is usually the phoenix, or the sun as well, fun fact. Now, these ideas are extremely present in the media once you start being familiar with them, and you can even see some of them being inverted at times. So, for example, you'll see the anti-hero. Most people will probably think of Batman, which is best played by Christian Bale. It's not a discussion, by the way. And rebirth, as well, doesn't necessarily have to be positive or virtuous. I think a good example of this is Griffith's transformation into Femto from Berserk. It's quite a good example, but enough said. These ideas persist, and I think the first question is why? How come so many cultures, which are vastly different from one another across thousands of years, have replicated essentially the same symbols? Now, I think that whilst the typical idea of the hero is someone with courage, someone who overcomes evil or performs extraordinary acts, I don't think it's entirely tied to the hero themselves. I'll explain. If the hero archetype was dependent on who the hero was as an individual, then I actually don't think it would be so present cross-culturally. Achilles is a hero, but he's consumed by fury and pride. Frodo fails to destroy the ring by his own strength. Despite this, we'd still think the hero a strong character. This leads me to conclude that the hero is characterized by what he represents and just not his individual. At this conclusion, we find a really intriguing answer from the legendary Swiss psychologist Carl Jung. Jung proposed that beneath our individual memories and experiences lies something he called the collective unconscious, a shared psychological inheritance common to all humanity. Within this collective unconscious exists exactly what he termed as archetypes, primordial patterns of original thought and behaviour that continually reappear throughout history, religion, mythology, and literature. To Jung, these archetypes aren't characters that writers will consciously invent, but they're symbols that will continuously emerge because they express something fundamental about human existence. Now, why am I telling you this? I think few characters embody the hero better than Link in The Legends of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Now, I played this classic when I was a kid on my 3DS, so it's almost an honour to use Link as a way to answer some fundamental questions. Why do we develop heroes, and why do we need them? When the Ocarina of Time begins, Link is only a child in Kokiri Forest, a world defined mainly by familiarity, innocence, and safety. Eventually, the Great Deku Tree calls him, revealing that a darkness has begun to spread across Hyrule. Almost immediately, Link is forced to leave the only home he has ever known. Every hero's journey begins with a departure from the known world. Before the hero can confront dragons, monsters, evil kings, or fight Ganondorf, he must first abandon certainty itself. The forest is left behind, the road for Link will begin, and the familiar gives way to the unknown. This is seen in Odysseus leaving Ithaca. We see it really vividly in Abraham's story as he leaves the Ur of the Chaldeans. I believe that is the right pronunciation. He leaves the Ur of the Chaldeans to depart for the Promised Land. So the pattern does occur too commonly, I think, to just be merely a coincidence. So each hero's journey starts with a departure, and this is the real genius of Ocarina of Time. It lies in the fact that the departure is not only geographical, but for Link it's psychological too. 7 years pass while he sleeps within the Sacred Realm, so he leaves his childhood entirely, and this transformation reflects one of Jung's primary ideas. The hero is not defined by his strength or his individual excellence, but the hero is defined by transformation. It might also be important to note that the character Link is also silent. This is something key that I want to pivot on. He is less a fully defined personality then a symbol through which the player experiences the archetypal journey for themselves. His adventure eventually just becomes our own, and leaving behind certainty, confronting chaos, and returning transformed becomes something we kind of parasocially experience through Link. This, however, leaves one final question. If Jung is correct, and the hero is an archetype that continuously emerges throughout human history, then why do we need a hero? Now, I think that the answer Ocarina of Time gives us is that whilst we embody the journey of Link, immersed in the character's silence, we encounter psychological models through which we learn how to confront existence itself. So consider Link's story once more. It is quite tempting to say that Link's a hero because he defeats Ganon, he draws the Master Sword, and he ultimately saves the Kingdom of Hyrule. Yet it is important to point out that these achievements are only consequences of his heroism, not the source. His first genuinely heroic moment occurs long before any battle with Ganon happens, is the moment he leaves the forest. It's a truly symbolic journey through human development itself. The child is separated from the familiarity of home, he's confronted by suffering, responsibility and evil, and he eventually returns completely transformed. In the game, the monsters, the temples and the trials aren't just obstacles within the game. I think that they symbolise the inevitable difficulties that every person will accompany in every meaningful life. Each of our lives begins with the security of familiarity, from which we must depart to face life. Now, I'm tempted to say that we have no choice, but I actually don't personally believe this is true. I believe that our ability to shy from life and surrender to its difficulty is extremely cavernous and deep. Our ship may stay in harbour as much as we like, but we aren't made to be dormant. Freud says in Civilization and its Discontents, the suffering humans are faced with is more than we can bear. It is in essence, though, a primary mechanism through which we find meaning, facing and overcoming evil. So we need heroes like Link, because the hero equips us with the mechanisms used to confront life. They reassure us that the uncertainty we experience is neither accidental nor unique. Others have walked into the unknown before we have. Others have confronted fear, sacrifice and suffering, emerging changed rather than destroyed. The hero reminds us that transformation is not something to be avoided, but we should embrace it. And funnily enough, Link embodies this really well because he actually possesses remarkably few defining characteristics. He doesn't speak very much, he expresses very little of his own personality, and he rarely actually expresses what he thinks. This quite obvious simplicity is what I think precisely allows for him to function as an archetype. He's not someone that's intended to be admired from a distance as this extraordinary character, but rather he becomes a figure or a vessel into which the player naturally projects themselves and his journey becomes our own. To conclude, I think the Link is no longer simply the hero of time. I think the Link becomes a symbol of the individual willing to confront chaos, shoulder responsibility, and emerge transformed. His story persists not because Hyrule is a real place, but because the psychological journey it represents is one that every single human being, in one form or another, must eventually undertake. Thank you for watching if you made it this far. I really like Legends of Zelda, and I'm a big Jung fan too, so like the other videos, it's a real lot of fun to write about. Truly an awesome writer if you ever get the chance to read him. I hope you enjoyed. Sincerely, Charlie.